in 2017 with a vision to help secure the country against threats that undermine freedom and the foundation of democracy in our country, as well as strengthen the globally recognized character of Filipinos. Respect, patriotism, community, or bayanihan spirit and resiliency during adversities. SPIN Media. So whoever knows the right thing to do and fails to do it, for him it is sin. James 4:17. Adding value, creating significance. Our core values: makadiyos, makabansa, makatao, makakalikasan. Secure the Philippines Initiative Network. Kami ay para sa Diyos, para sa pamilya, para sa bayan. SPIN Media, nakatuon sa paghahatid ng mga positibong balita sa loob at labas ng ating bansa. SPIN.
And even nakaranas po ng mga privileges of leadership, and we can hear some insights from them on how they can connect the current issues sa biblical perspective.
Yes, alam po natin na ang ating bansa sa mga nagdaang linggo o buwan ay binalot ng napakaraming nakakagalit na issue.
So sa tingin po natin, ano kaya ang magiging impact nito? Because we are talking about righteousness. Ano kaya ang magiging impact nito sa mga mamamayan sa darating na eleksyon?
Sa panahon ng ingay sa iba't ibang pananaw, may isang espasyo para sa malinaw na usapan, matapang na katotohanan at makabuluhang diskurso. Ito ang programang hindi lang nagbabalita kundi nagbibigay linaw, konteksto at direksyon sa mga isyong mahalaga sa bawat Pilipino. Kasama ang mga boses na may paninindigan, Commander Red ang leader na diretso magsalita at walang kinikilingan. Jihan Senina. By the way, he is not with us right now. But yes, Jihan Senina ang tinig ng balanse at makabuluhang pananaw. At ako ang inyong lingkod, Randolph de la Cruz aka King's Voice Randy, ang boses ng katotohanan na handang magtanong, magingay at maglatag ng realidad. Dito sa Focus, hindi tayo iiwas sa mahihirap na tanong because the truth deserves to be heard. This is SPIN Media TV Focus, where stories matter and truth takes center stage. Alright, please share our live tonight so that there will be a lot of people who can hear and listen and watch this program, and they might know the situation of our Filipino kababayans especially in Doha, Qatar. Alright, so without further ado, may I request Commander Red to introduce our guest tonight here in Focus. Commander, go ahead.
Magandang gabi po sa ating lahat. Good evening to all of our viewers, mga ka-SPIN, sa lahat po ng dako ng Pilipinas and several countries na kung saan ay meron pong presence ang SPIN Media. Ang again to mention what SPIN Media is. SPIN Media is a non-profit social media network that focuses more on positive news and providing information that would inspire people, that would create teamwork, and that could prepare us for the situations that we are facing not only in the Philippines but in different parts of the world.
Alright.
And ngayong gabi ay meron po tayong guest na kilala ko ng matagal ng panahon. I've known our guest for probably close to 20 years, beginning of the year 2000. Ito pong ating guest ay isang kaibigan at siya po ay malapit sa puso ng mga Pilipino at ang kanyang puso ay malapit din sa mga Pilipino, having a Filipina wife.
Oh.
He is not only close to Filipinos, but his heart is very close to a Filipina.
Alright.
Because of his wife. But our guest po is a very well-respected journalist in the Middle East, especially in Qatar and in the GCC or the Gulf Cooperation countries. He's been moving around government officials and community leaders in Qatar and has been invited to cover many important international events. And it is my pleasure to introduce to you a friend and a respected journalist based in Doha, Qatar, Mr. Asraf Siddiqui. Asraf, please greet our viewers tonight, and we can start with the questions. We're excited to start discussions with you.
Thank you so much. I'm really grateful to SPIN Media for taking me also today in your program. So kind of you.
All right.
Very good.
All right. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much, Asraf, for that wonderful greeting that you have to our SPIN Media viewers. So right now, we'll proceed to the most important discussion, especially the question and answer, the questions that we're going to throw to you tonight regarding the situation that is happening right now, especially in Middle East. So, Commander, go ahead. You take the floor for the question and answer.
Of course, I've been in Doha, although I have not been there for quite some time, but I stayed there for quite several months before when I opened up my office. Well, knowing, although the conflict between Iran and Israel and the United States are now in a cooling period, I want to ask first, it's like, tell us your experience when these bombs are coming in, could you please tell us your personal account? How does it feel? And what are the areas that have been hit by bombs, in Qatar?
Well, as you know, that in war-like situation, typically brings a sense of insecurity and uncertainty among the people, often compounded by unsettling propaganda also from, different hidden actors even, and parties involved in the conflict. Despite these challenges, the local administration handled the circumstances very effectively, actually, helping to prevent widespread chaos and maintaining control over the misuse of social media, basically. So that was very successful in that way. And yes,
recording in progress.
There were quite regular attacks from, although Iran and Qatar are very close neighbors. And if you remember that when the blockade was happened a couple of years before, it was only Iran who stood with Qatar, and that was the only area that was open and to the world for Qatar, and where all the imports and traveling was ongoing. Otherwise, from all other sides, Qatar was totally blocked, and nobody was able to move outside. So Iran relations have been those close with Qatar, and because of the, I will say, the wise planning and wisdom and strategic diplomatic strategy of the local leadership, in spite of pressure from the neighboring countries, the brotherly, you can say, the neighboring countries. And they are like Saudi Arabia, a big country, and the only country which is linked with Qatar. But it was Iran that too opened its space, and also the trade and all the movements were ongoing through Irani space. In spite of that, because of the US bases in this area, that was the point of retaliation. And as Iran has already announced also earlier, that if any attacks will be going, since as we know that Central Command main office outside US is also, hosted by Qatar in Doha. So that was quite serious for Iran, and Iran has, in retaliation, actually attacked mainly in that area where this base is based, where these bases are based, And yes, a couple of missiles or drones went some other areas also, and mainly the debris, even of these drones and missiles fell in different parts of the country over here, in which a missile was also hit in a major Qatari LNG export area. It is called Ras Laffan, which is the main production and also export port. And on, I think, 19th of March, when this missile was attacked over there, I think almost what was officially announced, which affected almost 17% reduction of the production of LNG to safeguard for any major other losses. Same day, the government announced to close down the production of LNG, and also export was not there because of the situation, as Strait of Hormuz was closed. Although if we remember that before this US-Israel aggression started, the Strait of Hormuz was open for transportation.
Yeah.
So it only closed down when this war was started, and US and Israel attacked on Iran. Otherwise, until that time, the shipping, this areas and everything was very much working in operation. So yes, what I can say in your that question, yes, there was in the beginning among the communities, as you know, that Qatar is a very small, tiny state. It has 3 million total population, and 10% of its population is local, Qatar national. 90% population is of expatriates, where almost over 100 different nationalities are serving or living. Among them, around 250,000 are Filipinos, and Filipinos are contributing very significantly in different sectors of in the development of Qatar, and highly professionals. Filipinos are there, mainly if you see on the architecture side and the hospitality sector, in the medicine side. So there is no such area where we don't find Filipino community is serving in Qatar.
Okay.
Is the supply of basic goods? How's the prices there at the moment, Asraf?
I'm sorry. Can you please repeat again?
How is the price of the commodities, the basic goods? Has the prices of goods increased because of the war?
The government policies are very strict here. As you know, the country is very small, and administration and implementation of the laws are very strict and also very much controlled. Yes, there is effect because import of many things are certainly the space is closed, are very mainly strict here. As you know, the country is very small. Some areas are still working. Qatar Airways is still flying to certain areas, but other airlines are until now are not yet allowed. I think from this week, other airlines will be starting their operation also to Qatar, but limited, of course. No, it's very much controlled. I can say very much controlled. As I mentioned, that as you know yourself, the country is small and very easy to watch and implement the local laws and yes.
Very good, very good. In your, is there any known casualty? The local Qatari or expats, outside of the U.S. casualties, but is there other casualties that you have there in Qatar? Other expats that have been killed because of the conflict, or Filipinos?
Luckily, there has not been any such significant or any such casualties in Qatar. There may be some but not casualties. Maybe some minor injuries or something, but officially there has been no such announcement. And since there is no official announcement, so it's very much controlled and also to avoid from any rumors. So, I can't say exactly because officially, I'm sure if there would have been, as it happened during, for example, Israeli attack last year, in which Hamas leadership was killed over here. In that, yes, there were local casualties, and those were officially announced, and those were mourned also officially over here. And I also attended the funeral, and also I went myself also for condolence to the family at that time. Yes, but during this recent 40 days of war situation, no, as we say, thanks to God, everybody was safe.
Okay. Yeah, I have a follow-up question with that. With your question a while ago. So we know, Asraf, that as we understand that you personally experienced hearing missile explosions in Qatar. So can you walk us through that moment, or what exactly did you hear and feel during that time while these missiles are flying over Qatar?
It's very interesting. And government came very strictly, actually, and have taken very strict action. People used to come out on the roads making videos. holding their mobiles in their hands. So, yes, in order to avoid, any propagation through social media and all this, so government was very strict and didn't allow at all to make such videos or come on the roadside, actually, for protection. As you know, Qatar is widely viewed as a stable and secure country that believes in dialogue, has consistently promoted dialogue and negotiation to solve the disputes between rival parties. And they believe only the way of solving conflicts through the dialogues rather than using the force. So, yes, yes, I have also got a chance. I was outside when the drones or missiles were ongoing. But as I was mentioning just earlier, that it is so peaceful country that there was no even siren system. There was no, any like as was happening in Israel, that everybody was going into the trenches and all these things. So there was nothing in Qatar such like that thing, and because of this peaceful atmosphere and known as a peaceful country in the world. Yes. However, government was very strict, keeping people safe, and it was ordered that nobody should come out on the roadside to safeguard of themselves.
Oh, okay. All right.
So basically, what you're saying, Asraf, it's everything normal in Qatar.
It seems exactly very normal. The life is very normal. People are going to their jobs, and you will find the roads are same way as you have washed yourself. Also, many roads are also having quite big traffic, and everything is in routine. When you are outside, I mean, people are going. Having fun. People are going to the restaurants. All these, we have tens of even fine dining Filipino restaurants, and you will find those restaurants are full of Filipinos and other nationals. In the same way, other areas also. No, the life is very normal in Qatar. Yes, during that when missiles were ongoing or drones were ongoing, of course, at that time people were not officially allowed to come out, although still people were seen outside going and all this thing. But now these days, if you see, it's a very normal life.
Very good. You mentioned that when we were before the program that regarding this the mediation or the talks that happened in Islamabad, Pakistan between Iran, the U.S. between Iran and U.S. Can you tell us about this Asraf, and how did you participated as a journalist,
and in everything is in routine. When you are outside, I mean, people are well, if we see that first why Pakistan, it was May when there was 4 or 5 days conflict between India and Pakistan, and the Pakistan's response to India at that time gave very, I will say two things to the world. One was a very new way, style, direction of war fighting. As we know that a couple of, as President Trump has announced more than maybe 10 times at least at different platforms that how Pakistan, crashed Indian Air Force at that time. So that gave a very different position in the world to Pakistan. And I feel that because of that result of that time, it gave the world confidence that being a nuclear power in the region, a neighbor to Iran also, and also having a close relation with the U.S. and also to the regional countries. Pakistan enjoys very close relation, and especially on the defense side also, and also being a Muslim country of the region. Pakistan has its very strong impact on the region and a long-standing relationship with the leadership of the region. So there were multiple things that which gave Pakistan a chance to play its role as a mediator, and even the US and Iran both agreed even to reach to Islamabad. And as we know that the highest position, you can say the second of America, the vice president of US. I mean, to me, he can be the next president of also US when he will be contesting, as normally, the culture in the US that the vice presidents normally go for the presidentship in the next elections. So such an important personality was there who led the US delegation. On the other side from Iran also a very big delegation. I think maybe around 70 members of delegation were there, including the scholars and political analysts who joined that meeting. So no doubt it was very strict also to get any information during that time. Luckily, I was also there in Islamabad. I got a chance to attend and talk to many people, even from the Irani side also, Iranian delegation, mainly the scholars and the political analysts. I talked to them because media was totally confined actually in the media center, and they were very strictly, nobody was allowed to go to the next building across the road, Senina Hotel, where the one of the five-star hotels and of Islamabad, where these meetings were held. So no media was allowed to leave that convention center and go across just the road on the other side. And all Islamabad, and not only Islamabad, all the suburb area of Islamabad. Islamabad is now expanded a very big city actually, although it was a capital city actually constructed, but now it is not only a capital city where only government officials and they are living, the government buildings are there. Now it is very much open to the general public and widespread. So the military people in uniform with the local administration was handling and controlling all that area. And of course, the people who locally who were living there, it was not easy life for them all throughout all those days. And even when we were expecting second round of talk, only until I will say few days before, when I came back also from Islamabad, until that day last week, last Thursday, it was very much controlled, under control of the military personnel basically, all the places, and movements were not that free. But unfortunately, due to the, I will say, rigidness from both the sides, from the American side and from Irani side. The second round couldn't move forward. Although what we see actually that there are regular mediation efforts traveling even from Pakistani side, Irani side. We have seen that they are moving, and recently, if you have seen that the foreign minister of Iran was also in Pakistan 3 times, went to Oman, went to Russia, and then even locally, if we see Qatar leadership and other regional states, they are also very much active along with the Western countries. And if you see this...
Asraf, what do you think? Will the war be really finally over? Or, what did you hear, from your side?
Well, what we can see is that luckily more than 20 days now, almost 3 weeks, we are noticing that there is no attack in this region, either from Irani side, and no attack on Iran last 3 weeks, which is a very good sign. And I feel that there is an understanding, something took place in Islamabad negotiation, that this long, I will say, peaceful situation is ongoing, and there is no any serious move. Although there are, you can say, talks from both sides, hard talks are ongoing, but as far as attacks are concerned, those are not there. But of course, the most severe and serious thing is that no cargo is going, as we know, that Strait of Hormuz is a shipping area, which is especially providing energy resources to Far East area, especially to Japan, China, South Korea, India, Pakistan, and I'm sure to Philippines also, having this energy supplies which are very badly affected on this region, and has created not only for this region, also some portion goes to Europe also from Qatar. So certainly it has very badly affected economically, and we don't know if it continues for a couple of days more, what shape it may take. And we are hoping that at least this blockade taken by U.S. naval forces, and also the blockade made by Iran, it may be lifted soon. Otherwise, it could be a disaster, not only for the world. Basically, the local energy producing, exporting countries like Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, UAE, that will be affected very severely, very seriously, and it has certainly there will be an impact on the people also living here.
Okay. Asraf, we know that you are close to the Filipinos there, our kababayans. The first week of war, a lot of Filipino wanted to go home here in the Philippines, and the problem is that there are no planes that's going to be flying from Middle East.
Space was blocked.
Yeah.
Yes.
What is the situation of our kababayans there right now in Qatar?
Everybody is very much fine, as I mentioned earlier, and the situation is very much relaxed, especially last 3 weeks when there is no attack from either side. So everybody is feeling comfortable. Certainly in society, there is always certain sections where people feel disturbed. But I can say one thing here, that Philippine embassy also has given a very much confidence to the community, and they are very well prepared also in case, God forbids, something serious incident happens. So Philippine embassy is very much ready to support the community, and they have already issued also a press release also in that regard, and messages to the Filipino community. So I was also planning to come to Philippines actually. I might be coming to Philippines in by June or July. Yeah, and we are hoping that situation gets better, and because of the space blockade and very limited flights, especially going on, so the fares are gone very high. So it's not only that flights are very much reduced, the fares are also affecting. And of course, when there is a family traveling, for example, so it would be a very high cost to them. So that's why that is also discouragement for the people to travel.
Okay, thank you for that answer. Sir, do you have a follow-up?
I would certainly like to add something that, as I mentioned earlier, the role of Qatar actually has been always very positive, has been always very constructive, and they believe in solving the conflicts through dialogue. And as we know, that Qatar has played facilitative roles in various conflicts settings, contributing to diplomatic efforts in regions such as Sudan, Libya, Iraq, Afghanistan, the Taliban and the US negotiations, and then their agreement. And recently with DR Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo also, they have played a very successful mediation role. So at the same time, Qatar has built a strong reputation, as all we know, as a dependable and uninterrupted energy supplier since almost 5 decades. And there has been never any interruption in supply in cargo of the LNG and other byproducts. It has reliably met the demands of major global markets, as I mentioned earlier, including China, Japan, South Korea, India, Pakistan, reinforcing its position as a key player in global energy security. However, the stability has recently been challenged, as I mentioned earlier, from the especially the 19th March attack on the LNG facilities, the major facilities in Doha. So, and then compounding the situation, the closure of the Strait of Hormuz by U.S. naval forces, following escalating tensions, has further, strained the region. So I hope that soon as we see the interest also from the White House day to day, although as we all know that any next moment, any new change, new announcement can come from President Trump's side, but still there is a strong hope, as we have seen that President also seen commenting now and then on solving the situation and pushing Iran also to come on the table.
Obviously, if just talking a little bit, about this conflict between the U.S. and the U.S. and Iran. Of course, it is different between Israel and Iran, but between the U.S. and Iran, the terms of President Trump is very, very clear. Although we have seen the effects of this war, which has basically Iran lost a lot of key leaders, and people are wondering who are now in charge. A lot of generals have died. A lot of government key leaders are no longer alive, and even the current leader, quote unquote, he is not actually seen for some time, and some people are, some media groups are claiming that he is badly injured and something like that. And confounding that is what's happening inside Iran. What can you tell about this, Asraf, as a journalist?
Iran has a long history, as we all know, more than 5,000 years of steady, stable as a nation. A very solid system they are having, and that's the reason what we see. Although tens of their different layers of the leadership is gone, but the way we see Iran has taken a stand, whether we agree with Iran's policies or not, but what we see is that the regime is still ongoing, working and taking, in spite of such major losses, the way they are taking stand, is certainly, I will not say the word I will not use like appreciable or like this, but that gives a very clear their position, that in spite of all the losses, the way they are taking stand, it might be their self-national integrity and old civilization, whereas the rival parties know that long history or background. And if we see, although there are many differences within the Iranis, but when the point of foreign threat comes, so everybody becomes united and they take one stand to protect their country. And secondly, also if we see, and as we have noticed, that there were tens of officials, including some cabinet members in U.S. Either they resigned or they were terminated by President Trump. That shows also a weakness comparing to Iran side, that there one side we see a unity and we see taking a stand very strongly in spite of all the destruction, in spite of all the damages. But on the other side, we see lacking of unity and also differences. So that is making, I think, Iran more stronger, and they are more comparing to. And as we see also, there is no threat as per even U.S. intelligence chief side, and also some of the military generals who were terminated. They announced that there is no threat directly to U.S. from Iran. So that is basically what the people over here, a general sense that U.S. is protecting and having this fight to protect Israel and to support Israel in its expansion, as we see in Lebanon. In Lebanon, Iran's Israel attacks are still ongoing, and expansion is ongoing, and some of the areas of Lebanon, Israel has already announced merging in its territory. So Israel is still ongoing.
Obviously, if I may, Marin, obviously, this issue is both militarily and diplomatically and politically. There are issues that needs to be resolved inside Iran. Obviously, there are sectors in Iran that doesn't like the current leadership. I do not know, we do not know their strength, and most likely they are being emboldened by what the U.S. government, has done as far as, if you may say, destabilize the current government. We do not know where will this conflict and the war with U.S. and Israel will be concluded. Is it in favor of Iran? Is it in favor of the U.S.? We do not know that yet. For us here in the Philippines, we all pray for peace and understanding, and hopefully we are praying that this war between the U.S., Iran, and Israel will end the soonest. Because I tell you, Asraf, the prices of fuel in the Philippines has become probably the most expensive in the world. Can you believe that the price of fuel has risen more than 300% per liter? Especially in Mindanao, the price of fuel has reached more than 150 pesos per liter. That's $3, more than $3 per liter. And I tell you, it's like personally, I have to budget the use of my vehicle, because it's like before, when I fill up my tank 60 liters, it's like around 3,000 plus. Now it's almost 10,000 pesos.
It has affected actually all the region here also, even in Pakistan. It has gone quite high, the petrol rates and all this, although we are very close to this region. Although Pakistan has got a good facility also from the neighboring these countries like Saudi Arabia, like Qatar also. But in Pakistan now you can say it's around I think it's $1.50.
Well, it's still okay.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No. It's about $100, which is what you call the rate of the liter, now gone, which is quite high, and it is out of capacity of the people generally to go for it. It is too high. Yes. So it has affected actually all the areas, not only Philippines.
I'm talking based on our experience in the Philippines. We're not even part of the conflict, but big countries are suffering.
Yes, exactly.
Even the Philippines is totally dependent from oil imports. That's
Mr.
why-
Rumi, not only that, US, within US itself, the US, the people of the US, they are suffering very badly.
That's
You know?
why, we are praying that this war will end the soonest, so that, the economy will stabilize. In the Philippines, once the fuel price increases, everything is affected because the cost
Of course, of
production,
course.
Yeah.
the basic commodities, all these things.
Exactly, cargo production,
Yeah.
money. Yes, exactly, and it is affecting every place. It is affecting even all Europe. It is affecting.
Yeah.
So everybody. That is the reason. If we notice, Mr. Rumi, this is first time, as we have seen any conflict around the world, we have seen the U.S. a party of that conflict, and this is first conflict where U.S. is failed to get any support from its allies also.
Mm.
This is the first conflict, and because everybody is affected economically. So that is one of the reasons. And we hope, as you mentioned, that soon there is any solution, and both parties at least should understand how badly it is affecting the normal life of the people of the region, especially. And the production and the trade of this region is totally stopped, because that is the only way to go out.
One thing that I like with what you said, Asraf, is that the situation in Qatar is basically normal. As to quote you, people are relaxed, and the government has instituted a lot of safeguards to secure and protect, the people there. Knowing, as you mentioned, of the 3 million people living in Qatar, only 10% are actual citizens.
Yeah.
90% are
Very right.
People from different countries.
Yeah.
And we have 250,000 Filipinos. That's a lot. So it's good to know that the situations in Qatar is normal and people are safe and protected. Of course, the effect, we feel it more than you feel it there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very right.
Yeah, so-
Very right. Yeah, no, it's very good that at least we are talking, and at least a message is being sent from Qatar, that the relatives, the dear ones, living away from their Filipinos who are working in Qatar, they should feel comfort, they should feel satisfaction that they are all safe here, thanks to God. And we hope that this ceasefire turn into a permanent peace instead of a temporary ceasefire.
Yeah.
And last 20 days experience giving a hope, a very strong hope actually, that both parties perhaps are also serious, and they do realize that it is very important to control their guns.
Yeah.
It's very important.
Yeah.
Very good, very good. Yeah, Karandi, do you still have some additional, questions
Yeah.
to raise up?
No, actually, we are almost an hour now, so it's actually 1 minute more, 1 minute left. But I just want to say thank you. Yeah, Asraf, thank you so much for this opportunity that we're able to talk to you, and you're able also to at least give at peace to, especially to the relatives of our kababayans that are in Qatar who are in the Philippines right now. So I know that if there are families who are listening right now who their family families are working in Qatar, they are actually right now at peace because of current situation, which is normal right now. So, and again, we thank you, and we hope that this is not gonna be the first time, because as like what Sir Romy mentioned, that we are actually aiming and planning to have for you to have a program here on US on SPIN Media TV Philippines. So yeah, thank you also. Thank you for your presence.
I appreciate Mr. Randy, Mr. Romy, for having me at the SPIN Media. And sure, I would love to be there. And as I mentioned earlier also, that Filipino community is I will say, vibrant community in Qatar. And they are doing great jobs over here. And they are very much united. And they are having on and off regular different events in Qatar. And also they are very much involved in developing their fellow Filipinos also in different skills.
Wow.
That is a beautiful part. What I have noticed in last, I will say, that Filipinos in Qatar, they started coming in 1970s.
Yeah.
The first group of medical team, nurses and technicians, they arrived in 1976 in Qatar. And interestingly, it might be interesting also for you that the first doctor, a lady doctor, she came in Qatar in 1978 as a married to a Qatari doctor. They both were studying in US, and the husband of this Filipino lady doctor was also appointed one time as the Minister for Health.
Okay, wow.
Yep.
That's you.
So it's very, very interesting history of Filipinos in Qatar. And I'm trying to actually come up with a book, Role of Filipinos in Qatar Society. I hope that I can bring it soon as a gift to Philippines.
Very good, very good. And we will also promote that, once your book is finished. But once again, Asraf, thank you very much. I will be calling you a little later. Let's discuss some mechanics, where we can have even a monthly episode of Focus, where we discuss not only the Filipinos in Qatar, but, Filipinos in the GCC in general, the issues, the problems, the challenges, and how we can assist in strengthening their presence and a collaboration and cooperation with the government and with the companies that has employed them.
Thank you so much. Sure.
Good to see you again. Good to hear from you. And for sure we will have you again in and as part of the team of SPIN Media Focus in a specific episode that we will be airing in the future.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you once again.
All right, again, Asraf.
Right.
Yeah, thank you so much to everyone who are listening, watching right now with us here in SPIN Media TV Philippines. Please, huwag niyong kalimutang i-share ang ating program para marami hong makakita, makapanood, at marami hong mapagpala, especially yung mga kababayan natin na may mga kamag-anak at kapamilya doon sa Qatar, that they are safe right now, and everything is normal in Qatar. All right, thank you so much. And further announcement ho, please renew your ID. Those ID na na-expire na, paki-renew ho. If you want a t-shirt like this, message us message yung information nyo sa inyong ID kung ito po ay nag-expire niya para magawan ho namin kayo ng ID. So maraming salamat ho sa ating lahat sa bawat usapan, sa bawat tanong at sa bawat katotohanan ng ating hinimay ngayong gabi. Naway may bound tayong mas malalim na pag-unawa at mas matibay na paninindigan. Dahil ang tunay na pagbabago nagsisimula sa isang mulat na isipan at pusong handang makinig sa katotohanan. Mula kina Commander Red, Jihan, Senina at ako ang inyong lingkod, Randolph de la Cruz, aka King's Voice Randy. Maraming salamat ho sa inyong pagsama sa amin sa isang gabi ng makabuluhang talakayan. Hanggang sa muli, manatiling mapanuri, manatiling mulat at higit sa lahat manindigan para sa tama. Ito ho ang SPIN Media TV Focus kung saan ang katotohanan laging sentro ng usapan. God bless us all and see you next episode. Thank you so much.
And even nakaranas po ng mga different privileges of leadership, and we can hear some insights from them on how they can connect the current issues sa biblical perspective.
Yes, alam po natin na ang ating pong bansa sa mga nagdaang linggo o buwan ay binalot ng napakaraming nakakagalit na issue.
So sa tingin po natin, ano kaya ang magiging impact nito? Because we are talking about righteousness. Ano kaya ang magiging impact nito sa mga mamamayan sa darating na eleksyon?